Hi, this is Travis with another video for you guys. So today I'm going to be talking about some bodybuilding applications with some of the bands. I know I've been doing this at-home series. Now in this video I'm going to be talking about some traditional exercises that bodybuilders have been doing for a long time. Now you can always do these with cable machines, with dumbbells, different things. But I want to show you guys how to do it with bands today. Some of these exercises I've touched on in some other videos, but I want to go ahead and put it kind of all together for you today in just one video. And I'm going to show you 5 different exercises with one bonus exercise at the end, so it'll be 6. And so go ahead and grab some bands if you have them. Again, the links to all this stuff is going to be at the bottom of the video, and we'll get started. Okay, so the first exercise, you are going to need a couple of props to do, so it can be a little heavy on the sit-up. But if you have a couple of rollers and a hollow roller laying around, this is a really cool exercise. I've never actually seen anybody else quite do it this way, and it's just a great way to hit your biceps at home if you don't have access to what they call a preacher curl bench. And so what I do for this is I take one of these rollers and I'm going to put it in front of me. The other roller, this is just a hollow roller that I've got, and you can get these on Amazon. I put a band through it, and I put these little fat grips on there just to kind of give me a little bit of a cushion for my grip and also to challenge my grip strength a little bit more. And so this guy goes in front of me because I'm basically going to be holding it with my feet and curling it this way. And then I'm going to secure this to my body. And to do that, I'm going to use a band. I've got a pretty thick one here right now. It doesn't have to be that thick. Sometimes I just like this to be kind of snug. So I just pull this around. Sometimes you have to kind of finesse these in place a little bit. But now it's pretty stuck to me, and it's pretty tight on my body, which is nice. So this guy's not really going to move around. And so now it forms a nice resting pad, very much like those slanted preacher curl benches. So it's not exact, but it's definitely the next best thing when you don't have a preacher curl bench. And so what I'll do now is I'll grab those handles, put my feet on top, once I shore this thing up, stabilize my elbows against this here, and then now I can do a curl. And again, I can do one side at a time. Something like this, or again, do both, okay? So this just really gets a great contraction on the biceps. I feel like I really feel this probably even more than I do with some of the traditional preacher curl machines, or even using an easy curl bar with some little plates, in the gym. And so you can just go ahead and go through this again however you'd like. You can also make this into more of a hammer style curl as well, to get a little more of that muscle that sits behind your bicep called your brachialis, a little more of this forearm muscle here called your brachioradialis. And so sometimes I'll do both, I'll kind of come in here with a hammer curl, then I'll actually go into a regular curl. You can do a hybrid, or you can keep it all straight sets. Some people actually like to supinate or turn their hands out first and then keep them there, so there's a lot of different ways you can curl. But the main point is, you have this to stabilize your elbows, to just really get that good contraction. And that's why they also call this the Scott curl, because Larry Scott apparently popularized it, one of the first Olympians with, I believe, over 20-inch or 20-inch biceps. So worked out pretty well for him apparently. But just a cool exercise, nice way to hit the biceps. So try that one out if you guys have access to some of this stuff, and let me know what you think. So another cool exercise that I showed in my tricep video is how to do a skull crusher type of movement with a foam roller. And so I'm laying on the foam roller here, it's just underneath my butt, going to my head. And so I'm laying on it lengthwise. This is just a 3-foot roll. I've now got the same band, I've got the Perform Better band with these fat grips on it. Turn the open ends away from you so it doesn't come snapping off on you. Then you just put this guy in your hands. And I've kind of put the band somewhat in the midpoint of the roller. If you put it closer to the top, sometimes you don't get as much tension in the bottom. So once you've got these guys spun away from you, just sort of bring your elbows up into this position. Usually rather than going straight vertical, I'll bring my elbows back a little bit. And then from there, just dial that in. And you can work those tricep muscles. And so again, you can come all the way down and up for kind of a full range of motion, or you can do sort of a constant tension type of rep where you come in here. And I think this really works nicely for this. So I'll just come in here, sometimes even as a finisher, and just work those triceps like this until they run out of gas, and then take a break. You could do one side at a time here with this one also. I just think this one kind of lends itself to doing 2 at a time a little bit better, but that's a really cool exercise to work the triceps muscles in the back of the arm above your elbow. You can experiment with how low you want it. If you want the tension a little bit earlier, just move your band lower. If you want to really just work more of that top end lockout, you can move your band back a little bit. Here's another bread and butter exercise for a lot of bodybuilders. There's a movement called an upright row. I showed this in my shoulder workout part 2, so if you want a little more info, check that out. But basically what you would do is take a barbell usually and pull it somewhere, you know, up kind of your chest area with your elbows moving out to the side. Now some people come up really high with this and that can be a little tough on your shoulders. So I usually recommend keeping your hands below your chest area to not impinge yourself. And then some bodybuilders will talk about doing this and keeping your shoulder blade kind of still and just moving the arm only. But I try to move my shoulder blades back a little bit as I'm doing that. And the reason why is because it's a more natural movement. Typically your shoulder movement should be happening with your shoulder blade. And so what I'll do is I'll just step inside of this thing, and having shoes on can help because it will dig into your feet a little bit sometimes. I grab the middle of this thing now, and then I just come in here and pull this guy in. And so I'm not going above my chest area, I'm just going a little bit below it. Trying to get a good squeeze in those shoulder muscles. And I'm also bringing my shoulder blades back a little bit at the top. And to be an upright row, technically you do want to be a little bit upright on this, but I am pitching my body forward some. Now there's no reason why you couldn't pitch your body forward even more and make it a little more of a hybrid, sort of horizontal upright row. That'd be fine to do as well. That's going to get more into that rear posterior delt muscle. The more upright I am, if I'm more vertical, it's going to help me get a little more into that middle or medial delt. And so there's definitely a time and a place for both. You're probably going to get tired faster when you're more in an upright position, so you could always start there. Maybe start more upright, and then once you get fatigued, maybe bring it down a little bit, and then see if you can finish out a few extra reps in the set. That's a cool way to do this. Now you can also do this with one hand at a time as well. Rather than coming right in the middle, I'll come to the side a little bit, you know, bring my hand just to stabilize myself, and then pull this guy in. And so that's a single arm upright row, okay? The other side would be just the opposite. That's just doing a nice job getting into that deltoid muscle. So try that one out and see what you think. Again, you can do double or single arm. Either way though, really good shoulder exercise. Okay, so another exercise is a great bodybuilding staple is an exercise called a Romanian deadlift. Now, a traditional deadlift, you're gonna start at the bottom position. You would bring the weight up, you know, to full standing and then set the weight back down. That's why they call it a deadlift, because it starts kind of from a dead stop off the floor. Now to get a little more hamstring and glute involvement, a Romanian deadlift, you'll typically start at the top. And so if I had a barbell in my hands, I would hold the barbell, kind of stick my butt out almost to about, you know, somewhere below my knee, mid-shin area, and I would do a deadlift like this. And that's your Romanian deadlift there. Okay, so the bar is not necessarily, you can tap the bar on the ground sometimes if you have plates on each end, but you don't necessarily have to always go down that low. And with the bands, you don't necessarily want to, because if you go down too low, sometimes you'll lose the tension. And so what I'll do with this is now I'm going to take the band and step on it in half. And so I'm going to just come in here, put one foot on each end, and then from there just kind of flatten your back out and pull this up. And so I come down just a little bit below my knees and then back to standing. And so my top position, I'm not quite squatted. I have my hips up quite a bit higher than if I was doing a squat. And so I just come in here, just pull that band down, try to really squeeze the glutes in the hamstring area, you know, nice stretch on the way down. You can even come a little slower on the lowering part, a little quicker on the way up. And that does a great job really getting into the kind of hamstring glute area. Also works some of the shoulder muscles, because you don't want to let that band, you know, pull you forward. You're trying to keep your shoulders set as well. So a cool exercise to try if you're looking to get something going in that department, and that's the Romanian deadlift. Okay, so the last one for the legs is a pretty cool way to hit your calf muscles. Now traditionally people do a lot of standing calf work, and that's not a bad way to do it, but there's a pretty cool exercise called the donkey calf raise, and many people will, you know, hold on to the back of something and they lift their heels up and down. Sometimes they might be on a countertop or something on their elbows and they're doing the same thing. And you know, typically with a piece of gym equipment, it's a pretty big, you know, bulky apparatus, or you need somebody to sort of, you know, sometimes somebody will sit in your back because you don't have access to somebody that you want to have sit on your back. Or if your back just isn't going to take all that pressure, the band can work pretty well. And so what I'll typically do for this is I'll just get inside of it almost like if it was a hula hoop. I kind of catch it. I don't usually like to catch it in the small of my back because that is a bit of pressure there. I kind of go down almost more in the top of the buttock area, more where a region called your sacrum is, and that usually gets some pretty good purchase on this. Then from there, and again, I would wear shoes with this typically because this thing will dig into your feet, especially kind of on that pinky toe area. And so what you want to do ideally is get the band kind of close to your forefoot region. You can decide where you want the chair to be, you know, whatever you're holding on to. Again, you could be resting your elbows on a countertop, and that's fine. And then from there, you're just going to try to lift your heels up and down as high as you're able to. And so this is just a nice way to get into those calves. You know, you can decide if you wanted to, you know, I could even lower this down a little bit more if I felt like I wanted a bit more of a stretch. You know, you could certainly roll up, you know, a towel or a yoga mat, put that underneath your toes to give you a little more elevation. So now you can see I've got my toes on a yoga mat, you know, just something to give me a little elevation for a little more stretch at the bottom. And so I can come in here now and just get a little bit of extra tension on those calf muscles. And so again, I can come all the way up for a nice good contraction at the top and all the way down, or I can almost do more of a, you know, continuous style where I'm not really resting much at the top or the bottom just to get a really good burn on those calf muscles. And so that's donkey calf raise. I like to do this sometimes after I've already done another calf exercise. So maybe if I was doing a heavier standing version, then I might do this at the end as a nice finisher, or I might just do this for some higher reps. And so you can just do 1 or 2 sets, maybe burning out however many reps you can manage. And by then your calf should definitely be talking to you. So that's the donkey calf raise. Okay, so I decided to give you guys a bonus exercise for today. So I'm going to show you guys how to do a wrist curl with one of these. A lot of times you'll see people doing wrist curls with dumbbells and barbells and that sort of thing. A lot of people are sitting in here on a bench and they're doing this kind of thing. So I'll just put this with my handles again, just put my fat grips on the band, put my feet on top of this guy. Again, open ends away from me so this isn't going to come flying out on me. Put my elbows up on top of my knees, and then from there just let my fingers kind of curl down as far as I can, and then bring them up. And so again, I let them come down and bring them up. You know, if you try not to get in here, you know, if you want to lean forward a little bit, that's okay. I would just try to keep somewhat, you know, be somewhat mindful of your posture, and then bring this guy down and up. And this is just a nice way to get some extra attention on those forearm, you know, flexors primarily, but you're going to be more of the muscles sort of on the inside here, or what we call the medial elbow region. But that's just a good old-fashioned wrist curl for those of you looking to get a little extra attention in the forearm department. So okay, so that's pretty much the big show for today. So I just want to make this a little more of a fun video. A lot of you might already be doing some of these exercises in the gym, but don't really know how to do it at home. So there's some ideas for you. Again, I'm not an advocate of only using bands. I kind of started this at-home series partly because of COVID and people were asking questions about how to work out at home. But I am a big fan of the bands. I think it's a cool addition to dumbbell, barbell, you know, kettlebell training or working with cables. I think there's a time and a place for all that stuff. So I'm definitely still using the bands even though I'm getting back in the gym, and I would encourage you guys to try it out as well because there are some pretty cool applications as you can see. Definitely comment below, let me know what you guys think. Links to all this are going to be at the bottom, so you should see that down there if you want to get into this stuff. And as usual, I hope you guys have some fun.